Hi warriors, it's Hanne here and welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about why I'm vegan. I'm also going to share some of my best tips, so definitely stick around because you don't want to miss this one. I'm vegan for the animals and the environment. Those are my two main driving factors, and whilst there's some research that says it could help in terms of health outcomes as well, that's not something that personally drives me or something that I've necessarily seen a lot of changes in.
First time trying Chinese sticky rice pudding, I am not disappointed.
Whilst I know I am making a little difference in the lives of the animals I'm no longer exploiting and the environment I'm no longer harming to the same extent, my health is pretty much the same, and I think it's because before I went vegan, well, I ate a fairly similar, quite carb heavy diet anyway, filled with fruits and veg and pasta and bread and all of that fun stuff that now I still eat in abundance.
Ever since becoming vegan, I've definitely been experimenting with food and trying out a lot more new things, which is a positive, especially in eating disorder recovery. It's good to have that variety. However, as I said, I waited until after my recovery to try out veganism, so maybe I was just already more open to trying out new things. And I think veganism was just the perfect excuse. Because obviously, even if you're not vegan, you can still have tofu, hummus, different grains, all of these things that I only got around to trying once I became vegan. Anyway, this breakfast took less than 5 minutes to make. I'd made a massive batch of the sticky rice yesterday, so I just heated that up in the microwave with a bit more soy milk, added a banana, some nuts and some peanut butter, and voila, done. Easy peasy. Good start of my day, especially because it's got some good carbohydrates, fats from the peanut butter, protein from the peanut butter, and also the sticky rice pudding rice automatically has some beans added in, which is something that as a vegan you can't really go without.
In addition to my diet, I also try to limit my impact on the environment in other ways. I'm happy to talk about that in another video if you're interested, but I think that's at the core of veganism, to do what is possible and practical. So, as you all know if you've been following me, I used to struggle with an eating disorder. Back at that time in my life, there was definitely some things I could do to contribute to, helping the environment in some way, but I couldn't have made a change to my diet, even though since I was about 7 years old, I've been pleading with my parents to let me go vegetarian. So at different points in our lives, we might be able to do different things, and that's okay. But diet is definitely one of those things that does have a big impact. So I'm really happy that after my recovery from anorexia, I was able to approach food more freely and embrace the plant-based diet as well. I just finished my pasta, I finished it an hour ago or so, but I'm in a training at the moment and we've now finally got our lunch break. I was hungry at 12, so I had my lunch at 12. But anyway, it was just a pasta with a jackfruity, sort of meaty kind of sauce. So it had sun-dried tomato oil, actual sun-dried tomatoes, tomato paste, and then some finely chopped carrots and garlic, and then lots of spices. It was delightful. I added a bit of parsley on top because I do like just adding little bits and bobs that are tasty, that jazz up my leftovers, and that are good for you. So parsley is really good because it's very high in iron, which is a bit more difficult to get as a vegan. So especially if I would have paired this with a bit of lemon juice, that would have been perfect because vitamin C helps the absorption of iron. But yeah, adding stuff like parsley or other fresh herbs, adding nutritional yeast, which has B12 vitamins, very much needed for both vegans and non-vegans, or adding some beans, nutritional powerhouses, or something like tahini, very high in calcium and some good fats, are some of my favourite things to do to jazz up my leftovers, because I do always have leftovers the day after. I like batch cooking, so I'm not in the kitchen all of the time. It makes my life so much easier while still enjoying home cooked, fresh meals. Anyway, I don't always have enough leftovers. Today I managed to have 2 bowls, so that'll do me for a bit of time. But when I don't have enough, I'll just bulk it out with a few sandwiches, some toast, a smoothie or something like that, or just a few more snacks. It's important to eat enough. Don't go hungry. I think, especially if you're avoiding vegan junk foods, which I don't necessarily recommend, but if you do avoid vegan junk foods, then a vegan diet can be slightly lower in calories, slightly lower in fats, protein. So make sure you eat enough. Anyway, my training's about to start again, so I'm off. I'll see you for my next snack. Easy meals and snacks for me are a must, just because this lifestyle needs to be sustainable. If you do it for a week, great, but if you do it for a lifetime, that's what's gonna actually make the difference. As such, I like to have leftovers, 5-minute meals, easy pastas, stuff like that. A few quick and easy recipes on hand that I can turn to anytime I'm stuck or don't have that much time. However, I do like cooking, so probably later tonight I'll put in a bit more effort. That won't be hours and hours, but a bit more effort. I think it's also justified to put in a bit more effort if you can then make lots and sort of meal prep a little bit, which I'm gonna need because I'll be in the office again tomorrow. Anyway, as you saw, lunch was delicious and nutritious, but there wasn't any beans in there. And normally I do have beans with every meal, except usually breakfast. Beans are a nutritional powerhouse, a good source of complex carbohydrates, protein, and that brings me to my next point. You don't need it at every single meal if it's going to mean you're going to be obsessive about it. And they're not the perfect substitute for meat products, because whilst they are high in protein, they're still pretty much a carb source. So in order to feel fully satiated, I think it's important to eat enough fats and some higher protein foods such as seitan, tempeh, tofu, soy chunks, even meat replacements. As I said, I never really noticed much of a change to my health. When I first went vegan, actually, I gained a little bit of weight and I gained my period back. But I wouldn't necessarily attribute that to the vegan diet. It's around the time that I met my boyfriend, we cooked meals together, and overall it was probably just the happiest time of my life. So, cause and effect. Veganism does not need to be restrictive. It does not need to hold you back in any way, and I found, in fact, that for me it's the nicest and most convenient thing, because I'm living in accordance with my values and I can cook and eat my meals with my partner who's vegan himself, and a great chunk of his family is vegetarian-vegan too. So in my life specifically, it's quite a social thing, although I understand that for a lot of people who have non-vegan friends, those circumstances might be a little bit different. However, even then, with friends who aren't vegan or maybe don't understand veganism, it's still fine to live up to your own values and to follow your own path. Don't necessarily expect others to understand, but maybe prepare in advance, let them try some of your meals. Just be prepared and don't use it as an excuse to not take good care of yourself. After all, we're against cruelty, against any living creatures. Self-care is important. We have now come to the end of the training. I do normally make a point of going out for at least a little walk or something during the day, get a bit of fresh air. But I think I'm just gonna crack on with a bit of baking and a bit of cooking, and that'll be it. I think it's really important to look after your mental and physical health. It's all about listening to your body. One day won't make or break your success. And also, sometimes doing lots of exercise and sometimes doing no exercise is just a different form of self-care needed at a different point in your life or your day, and that's fine. It's great to have some go-to meals and snacks, and for me, one of those things is crackers and peanut butter. We've currently got sort of Ritz type crackers, so they're not that filling. So I'll have some of them and then decide what else I want to have, because I'm a bit peckish. Quick story time. When I first went vegetarian, I would go home during my holidays and still eat some meat. Why? Because I didn't want to be a problem. I didn't want to be a burden. And my mum cooked meat, so I had it to the extent that I really needed to. However, I then found out later on in the journey that I wasn't a burden by following my values and by being vegan. If it was ever a problem to, for example, my grandma with whom I stayed for a bit of time, I was able to cook my own meals or educate her, which was quite a fun thing to do for me. I noticed that when I committed to being fully vegan and when my sister became predominantly plant-based, my mum also started trying out new recipes and quite enjoying that. So on the whole, it was quite a fun experience. It was just a matter of daring to jump into the deep end and go for it. However, if you want to stick in a flexitarian lifestyle, eating more vegan meals without fully committing to 100% vegan, that is still gonna make a massive difference. So do whatever is possible and practical. Try new things and never restrict the foods that you enjoy. As with any kind of diet or lifestyle or whatever, never make restriction the focus. Always focus on regularity, sufficiency, and abundance. That's how you're going to be happiest, healthiest, most fulfilled, and that's what I preach. According to PETA, vegans save 200 animals a year. In addition, it takes up to 13 pounds of grains to create 1 pound of meat. All of that plant food could obviously be used more efficiently if it was just used directly to feed people. Lastly, animal production is one of the most polluting things you can do for the environment. There's quite a lot of statistics out there, and I think they're all equally shocking. Just last week, I actually read an article about what if the whole world went vegan. It explained how animal agriculture accounts for more than a quarter of Earth's landmass and almost 40% of its habitable area. To produce a kilogram of animal protein requires an average of 100 times larger than what is needed to make a kilogram of vegetable protein. It's actually mad. I wanted to bake some cinnamon buns, but we didn't have enough flour, we didn't have enough sugar. So I just rolled with a random recipe that came up in my head that now I will definitely be making again. As I said, I normally go for quite easy, quite convenient kind of foods, especially if I'm working in the office or out and about. I tend to grab some snack bars and a piece of fruit and that'll do. But If you enjoy cooking or if you want to change, then try this recipe.
By the way, don't expect veganism to be the magic cure-all. Clear skin, perfect digestion, and all the rest, because I don't think it necessarily is. There's a lot of other factors that go into that as well, so that you might need to take into consideration. It's not all just down to diet. Which brings me to the next point. Veganism itself isn't just about diet. It's also about your travel methods, about your cleaning products, about your beauty products, and so much more. It's a lifestyle, not just a diet. I'm tackling diet today mainly just because it's easy to focus just on one aspect, but I know that I personally tried to make a lot of other changes as well, in addition to diet. Diet's obviously a big one with a big impact, but I also tried to buy vegan shampoo, vegan conditioner, vegan body wash, vegan cleaning products. I tried to cycle as much as possible rather than taking the car. However, it is, as I said, about as much as possible and practicable, because I do also travel and take planes sometimes. I'm also not the most knowledgeable on fashion, for example, and the clothes I should and maybe shouldn't buy. So that's something I tend to stay away from, and I tend not to buy anything new. But it's something that probably I should educate myself on at some point. That is okay. No one's going to be perfect. Anyway, I, for example, love my reusable period underwear and my moon cup. I love my current shampoo. And a few days ago, I received some hair care products by Coco and Eve as well. And my hair has never smelt better and been easier to brush through. I definitely suggest you check out some of these suggestions. And as for the Coco and Eve, check out the link below because they do have some current discounts that are definitely worth it.
Also, let me just note that personally, I think the period underwear by Cheeky Wipes is the best brand because it doesn't leak after a while. Also, they have thongs, which I haven't really worn, and they have pads, which are sort of my last resort because I don't think they're quite as comfortable. But if you're looking for a really good brand with really good products, Cheeky Wipes. And I've tried a few.
Other favourites include my glass jars, perfect for storing literally anything plastic free.
Aldi's cheese bakes and peri peri chicken, just because it's absolutely delicious.
My fluffy pyjama bottoms, because they keep me warm during winter when the heating isn't cranked full on heat.
The Olio app, to prevent food waste.
And my Rose and Remy shoes, because they look fashionable without the leather. These are just a few, and if you have any of your own, leave them below because I love your suggestions and recommendations.
When I use the blender, I like to use it for a lot of things. So I'm going to make a smoothie for tomorrow or tonight, and then also make my patties in it because it's just less cleaning. So, if you're worried about getting protein on a vegan diet, don't be. This dinner alone, in fact, the seitan in these burgers alone, accounted for about 50 grams of protein, let alone everything else in this meal. That's more than me personally for my body type. More than I probably need in a day. But I like to cover my bases because I am fairly active. What do you think? Good burgers? It was easy to put together from just leftovers and it tastes good, so I'm happy. So that was it for my full day of eating. I think that's me done. I hope you enjoyed this day in the life. I hope you like my rambles, and go and try that snack I made and those burgers. So good.